we got another minute before we can go here, I think.
Yep. And when you're ready, Gary, just in the microphone.
Okay, you're now recording.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Library Planning Committee, Tuesday, March 14th, 2023, 10 o'clock a.m. in room 54 of the Dunn County Government Center. First order of business is the call of the roll. Andrew, will you help us out there?
Sure. Pat.
Here.
Supervisor Headland. Here. Supervisor Keeter.
Here.
Jim Tripp.
Here.
And I believe Gary Supervisor Johnson is excused.
Yes.
And Supervisor Zons? Not here. And then Chair Steen.
Here. Thank you. The next order of business is approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve.
I would so move. Supervisor Headland.
Second. We have a motion by Supervisor Headland and a second by committee member. Yeah, just plain old Jim Tripp. And are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none.
I do have one, sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Shelley.
At the bottom of the first page, it's talking about the Sand Creek Library, and you have 854 square feet. It's 840.
That is a little bit of a difference, Shelley.
A little bit, not terrible.
I will get that updated. Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. We don't want you to get too big for your britches there.
I know.
Thank you for that. So I'm assuming the motion would include the corrections. Any other corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Public comment. Krista, do we have any public comment you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you. And we have none here that I can see.
I didn't get anything either.
So next, we'll have the report of the library directors and we'll have Shelley Ray give the first report if she would.
That's what I get for being here before Ginny.
Yeah.
Well, as you all know, annual report time for us is over and done, which is a good thing. But just a couple figures from there. In the last year, Sand Creek Library has increased the items for circulation by just above 200 items. And our circulation now is up to 6,963. And the year before, I believe it was 6,700. So slowly we're getting back up to what we were before COVID. We're still not completely there, but looking forward to summer and getting some warmer weather so we can be outside. So we're doing our summer library planning and summer will be here before we know it. So that's about all that's happening here right now.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And I'm glad to hear the numbers are going up. It's a positive sign.
Right.
Next, we'll hear from Boyceville Library. She's got the one arm in the coat yet, but she's all right, I think.
Just press the button on the right.
Take it away, Jenny.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Let's see. Boyceville, also, we just finished our annual report. Circulation is still not back to pre-pandemic for us either, up from last year. I feel like just the feeling around the library is people are absolutely coming back. Our programs are well attended and everything is noisy and wild again. So I think it's just, keep pushing at it. The audio video collection is just, everybody got streaming. I don't know how the rest of you guys are doing, but the books on CD, they're just not like they used to be. So that is affecting our circulation, I think, besides the pandemic as well. But programming is going great. Let's see, we met in January. Is that when we last met? I don't even know when we last met. Trying to think of what we've done since then.
We met in December.
December, yeah. So really just spirit of Christmas, lots of programming, and probably the most exciting thing, we are talking about a new building project, which I know you've all heard that before, but it's really feeling positive. And we, in a couple weeks, will be interviewing 3 architect firms, and the village board is really behind it. And so we've been doing a lot of work with that, which is exciting. Sadly on my way out the door, but that's okay. I'll still be pushy and help with it as much as I can. So yeah, any questions?
Do you want to announce your retirement date?
And yes, I will be retiring. My official last date is. So yes, I am retiring. My official last date is May 4th, although I'm really going to be on vacation for like 3.5 weeks previous to that. So the staff is having an open house for me on Thursday, April 6th. April 6th from noon to 5. If anybody wants to come out and say goodbye, I will get to goof off for a day. So it'll be fun. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Mr. Tripp.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on a long and successful career, and best wishes on retirement. The building project is pretty exciting. Vaughn and I talked a little bit about it this morning, and I understand you have some sites. What are they going to do with the old building? That belongs to the village, right?
It does belong to the village, and who knows? We haven't got that far. Yeah, I don't know.
And one of the reasons I ask is that people very often are more comfortable supporting a new enterprise if they think that the old resources are going to be well used. So yeah, just wondered if there was a plan for that. That's an interesting old building, obviously, and you'd think that there would be something kind of interesting to be able to go in there. Anyway, again, thanks for your service. We've really enjoyed having you as part of our little group here.
Yes, thank you, Jenny. And like I used to tell the guys that I worked with, I hope you're retired as long as you had to work. Is that you? That's always a good trade, Supervisor Headland, do you have any insight on what Boyceville might or might not do with that building?
Not too much. We've only had the Boyceville's village president at, I think, 2 of our planning meetings or preliminary planning meetings. The board is very much behind what we're doing and feels that, a new site is the only way we're going to get to, where we need to be.
Yeah.
And so that's, as far as the old building, I don't know. There's been some things that the building has been used for along the way, but when you have a library operating, almost full time, it's, it's limited as to what you want there, even, or people can't leave stuff there that maybe, I know there's been dance lessons there. There's been some meetings held there. Social services has used the back room for meeting with families. So, I think, those types of things could be expanded in being it's a village building. And
Thank you, Supervisor Hilden. Being a village board member myself, that was probably was an unfair question, but thank you for your stab in the dark. I appreciate that. Next, we would like to hear from Jolene Stirk from, if I did pronounce that right,
You did.
the Menominee Library.
Oh, we're busy with annual report. Just a little offering for you. Make it interesting for folks that have limited, attention spans and, time to ponder numbers.
Shelley and Don, I will make sure that I scan this unless you have a digital copy.
We do have additional copy, I can send that.
Will you send it to me and I'll make sure it gets to the other board members who are not able to attend today in person?
Okay.
It's just the annual report kind of overview, just so you know.
Thank you.
So much like Shelley and Jenny have already said, we're, ramping back up post-COVID, but not back yet to where we were prior. And I think a lot of that has to do with cutting our service hours. I mean, if you're only open 49 rather than 69 hours, that's going to have an impact. But looking forward, we've got our bands lined up for Music Over Monoman for the summer, all 10 of them, and the Friends of the Library have generously sponsored that. So we're very grateful. We had an estate donation, about $70,000 from Joan Pulaski's estate. And the board has hired Ayers Associates to develop an outdoor space sort of vision for our library grounds. And we've stumbled into some really interesting potential opportunities. Found out that XL, or NSP as it used to be called, owns the shoreline. And it needs to be kept, it's in a federally funded or regulated program. They need to keep this shoreline as recreational space. It can't be developed. So we may be chatting with them about getting either easement or a transfer of the property and seeing if we could develop some trail space going to the north to Lakeside Park. It's got about a $2 million price tag. So, this is going to be a long-term potential project, but with the Pulaski estate, we're definitely looking to get some additional outdoor seating space, and we'll see where we go with that. Yeah. So those are kind of the big things. I did bring another little show and tell if anyone is interested. We developed a Give to the Library, Invest in All of Us campaign, just so people have a way to understand that we have one community, one library, but we have our municipal and county funding pot. We have a library gift fund. We have Friends of the Library and the Library Foundation. So encouraging folks to look at an investment in their community library in that way. Any questions?
Seeing or hearing none, I'd just like to thank you for your report, and like to thank all the librarians and the board for the forward-looking outlook that everybody seems to have. Because if you're standing still, you're going backwards, I think, I had a village board meeting last night, and Lisa's fellow worker told me she was going to be here, so I don't know where she is. So I'll do my best. I can't comment on the although maybe I should be able to, but I can't comment on the circulation and all that. But I think we're trending back also, and that's good. And she does a very good job over there. Following up on our last meeting, the recommendation from John Thompson was that the Colfax configuration of their board be changed to get it in compliance, so to speak. So our library board made the changes. We had one lady that was was okay being off to free up what we did, and we got a former worker, a young gal, that we put on the board that is very knowledgeable, and I can't remember her name right now, but very young and a good asset. So then we made the move, changed the configuration, moved it on to the village board. The village board rubber stamped it, made the change, approved the lady that was put on there. And so we're in compliance, I guess, on John's recommendation. And unless I miss the boat on this, I'm not 100% sure, but I think I'm right that Jim Tripp could probably back me up. I think that was the only change we had to make in our library plan. And so having made that change, and I'm not too sure on this, do we have to make a motion to adopt that? Yes, we do. We'd have to make a motion to adopt the amended county library plan. So I would, and so unless somebody has other information to add or a question, Supervisor Headland.
Yeah, we also were not in compliance. And so we found out that I was not appointed by the village board, but by the county board, and we needed one more appointed village board member. And Jenny found a person. I think the library board is behind it, and I don't know that the village board has had time to act on it yet. Should have been last night, okay.
Okay, Mr. Tripp?
Well, yeah, that was my question. The plan in the library plan was correct, and it's just that you locally were out of compliance with that plan. And the point of this is the plan that we approve going to change, or did you just change how you implemented it?
Does anybody have the most updated? I have lots of scribbles on my plan when it comes to the board composition.
And it sounded to me as if
So now we
plan
have
the way it was
6.
written was fine, and you just were out of compliance, so you got into compliance. So we wouldn't have to, and the bottom line is that something we need to address, or is it okay the way the library, excuse me, the way the library plan is written?
I am under the impression that the way it's written is all right,
Okay,
and we approve that. And also, probably as a fact of history, we've approved the library plan before, not knowing that the local villages weren't in compliance. So I think there's an effort and a successful one to get us all on the same page. And so I would entertain a motion that we I would entertain a motion that we approve the Dunn County Library Plan. Mr. Tripp, you move?
when I came in, I did not see a mob outside with torches and pitchforks. Therefore, I will assume that everything is good, and I move we approve that plan.
Thank you for your daring do on that. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
No, sorry. We need a second before.
You need a second. Sorry.
Thank you.
Uh,
Sorry.
Pat Eggert seconds. Is there any discussion? And yes, there is. Go ahead there, Ms. Stirk.
Menominee is actually still a class 4 city. I checked this with our city administrator, and although from a population basis, we would be eligible to be considered class 3, they have chosen to remain class 4. So that changes the number on our city appointed or municipal appointed end to 7 rather than 9.
Okay.
And then we have another 5 from the county.
And that is the most updated information in the board composition in the library plan for Menominee.
Are you saying, Andrew, that is in the plan already? Excellent, thank you.
So what I'm seeing is Menominee a class 3 city, and I'm suggesting that we're actually a class 4 city. So therefore, we should only have 7 members appointed by the municipality rather than 9.
Okay, I'm looking at the board composition at the very bottom. Where are you looking in the actual?
This is an old, this
part
is
of the
the
plan.
November
Okay, is
thing from you, so.
that the in the board composition? Okay, yep, because then in the December meeting that we had, we made that change, that modification
okay.
already. So
Excellent. Sorry.
Yep. So with the modification, let me just clarify, Christine, if I might, with the modification to the Boyceville Library and the modification that came from Colfax, that's really only the board composition that would be modified for the adoption of the final plan.
Correct.
And the motion as it exists is to adopt the plan as it is presented.
Yep, as
Okay.
it's presented today with
Okay.
okay. We have a motion and a second and some pointed discussion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The motion carried. The Dunn County Library Plan is adopted. Let me see here, where am I? I guess I skipped number 6 and then we're working on 7, but anyway, the next order of business on 7, we'll go back to 6, but 7A is the scheduling of a public hearing, Dunn County Plan for Library Services. So I am open to suggestions, ideas. Mr. Tripp.
In the past, we have scheduled those hearings at the next regular meeting of the Library Planning Committee.
Okay.
so that we wouldn't have to meet twice. We would be here in case somebody does show up. I think, Pat, you've lived through probably more of these than I have. Anybody ever show up at the? Maybe this year will be different, and frankly, it's a good idea. All of these things are a good idea to put before the public.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if, we have another scheduled library planning committee meeting, we could have the hearing then, could go to the board. There really isn't any rush, I don't think, in any of this, is it?
No, I don't think so.
So that would be my suggestion. When we plan the next LPC meeting, we plan the hearing at the same time.
A good point, and I think you're correct that there doesn't seem the groundswell of support or negativity on the library plan, which is unfortunate. I'd like to see more pluses than the minuses, but having said that, would a meeting in May or June, would that sound, I'm thinking April, May, June, perhaps June would be more apropos. And then our next meeting would be in the fall, probably. Does that, generally, that's how we've been doing it every quarter, yeah. So if June seems like a good time, I'm open to a date.
And then can you just provide me, so I believe the first week of the month was always tricky for the libraries, right? Because you had different meetings or something like that, like an annual something reporting. No, okay, just kidding.
Well, Jenny doesn't care because she won't,
I mean,
she won't be there,
That's
so.
true. So if we're
And-
looking at June,
If possible, that first week in June might be the better, because otherwise summer reading is gonna start kicking in.
so Shelley would, so how about Tuesday, June 6th is the first
That's-
full week of June?
That
That-
should be fine with me.
We'll do 10 a.m. Is that fine with you, Chair Steen?
Yes, and I would like to ask the board's pleasure. Would you like to have the meeting here, or would you like to move it to one of our libraries? Mr. Tripp,
If we're gonna have a public hearing, why don't we have it here?
that's a good answer. Thank you.
Well, the hearing
Yeah.
would logically,
Yeah.
and if we do get a crowd.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Perhaps our fall meeting could be moved out to one of the libraries, because we've endeavored in the past to kind of do that. Give each library their day in the sun, so to speak. And I've got to save up my money so I can buy ice cream when you come to Colfax. All right, so this is what we have, Tuesday, June 6th, 10 a.m., room 54, right here at the Dunn County Center. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
That'll also be the.
Question, is public hearing gonna be before or after?
Before.
Okay.
And just generally speaking, if history repeats itself, we could have the hearing at 10 o'clock and we'd be able to go into a regular meeting by about 10:15. I mean, that's going by history, so. That's what we'll post it that way, 10 o'clock hearing, and then 10:15 the library board meeting. Did I hear somebody have a question, Andrew, or no?
I do have a question.
yeah.
What we'll have to do after the public hearing is, I don't know, do we need a motion after that to forward it to the board? Because it's got to go to the board eventually. And when does the board meet in June? Would we have time to get it on a board? Again, not that there's a big rush, but,
Yep,
No.
the board, county board meets Wednesday, June 21st.
oh, super.
So it'd be
Yeah.
plenty of time to get that.
So,
Timing looks really good then.
yeah, and so our game plan or our agenda would be the public hearing, then our meeting where we would approve the library plan to go to the county board. And then that would go to the county board in their June meeting, and I that doesn't have to go to the exec, does it? It just goes to the county board. That's what I thought. So, yeah. So it appears like all the ducks are lined up there. So do we need a motion or not to pick that date? Okay. That takes care of 7A. Then 6, Andrew just included this, Ridgeland Public Library formation as a discussion point. He had sent out an agenda to the Ridgeland people. And I guess we'll make a copy of what went on today available to them. We'll send it out, you know. So I put it on there because they didn't know if they were gonna come or not, or whatever the deal is, but I would, and anybody here can speak up, I would say that our position hasn't changed from our last meeting. I think we're very supportive to do what we can do. And I guess it's kind of up to them to decide what direction they're gonna do. But once again, in the minutes, I want it that it's unanimous support to, you know, encourage their moving forward. That takes care of 6A. And is there any announcements by anybody today? Regular guy, Jim Tripp.
Thank you. I did attend the Library Legislative Day a few weeks ago. And frankly, I only saw one legislator. There was a big crowd of people and each of the legislators had lots of people. And my wife wasn't feeling real well, so we skipped the afternoon thing, but had a nice long talk with Jeff Smith, Senator Smith's staff. And one of the things we talked about was the potential for changing the funding methodology to include electronic circulation. I made it clear that to my best knowledge, that would be potentially a mixed blessing, not the change, but the discussion for the change. Because anytime the legislature starts talking about anything, you got to hold your breath and strap in pretty tightly because you never know what's going to happen. But there already is quite a lot of interest in changing that formula because it doesn't make sense. Well, look at the stats that we saw today. Half the circulation in a lot of places is electronic, and right now that's not counted for funding at all. So anyway, the meeting with Senator Smith's staff was very, very positive, very supportive. Before that, I had communicated with both Staff Schultz and Moses, our two representatives, and I encouraged them to be generous, given the state of this year's budget when they allocate money. And frankly, the legislature allocates money to the library systems, but not directly to the libraries, indirectly through some grants and things. But I got positive responses from both of them on that. And the last thing in terms of legislative is that the Joint Finance Committee will be holding a budget hearing in this area. And does anybody know when or where that's going to be? I thought it was Eau Claire or Altoona or somewhere. Yeah, and I'm not sure when, but if you look at the Wisconsin Library Association webpage, I think they have information on it. I think I saw something come across my email yesterday. One of the things that we heard from two members of the legislative committee, one Republican and one Democrat, or the finance committee, is that they count numbers at those meetings and they count speakers. So one of the ladies, I can't remember her name, she's a Republican, but a very strong advocate for libraries, said that you may have a group of 5 or 6 or 8 people walk to the microphone to speak, showing support. It's nice if every one of them says something. And that's not how we've done it in the past, but I'm taking her advice to heart. Anyway, the upshot of it is pay attention to the Wisconsin Library Association page. If you can make that hearing and are willing to say 20 words in support of libraries with a group, that would be helpful. And apparently they pay attention to that. I've always looked at those hearings with a little bit of skepticism because they're long. They tend to be kind of boring. The testimony is very often repetitive. But the two people that were on the committee that spoke seemed to indicate that they're paying attention, which I question a little bit sometimes. They don't look like they're paying all. Anyway, so that's what's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. And I think my brief experience, attending hearings and speaking is that, as a group, sometimes you say, well, we're going to say the same thing, so we'll let Jim Tripp say it. And I think Jim is saying that we should all get up and say our piece, which it can be brief, but, and I think a lot of times, when they, I don't know how to say this, but when they see regular people, not a board member, but not a, politician, but just a regular person, man or woman, that it packs a little more weight because there's John Q. Public that is there. And what I've noticed this year, I went down to the Wisconsin Counties Association legislative thing. And Andrew, maybe you can back me up on this, but what I'm seeing, and because of our surplus, there's less pressure, I think, so that we're seeing some, how do I want to say, more reasonable responses to problems in the counties and the state, which would be the library and all that. So I'm hopeful that we are able to make some informed, intelligent, but decisions that are more that is beneficial to more people in the state. I'm an advocate for libraries. My third grade teacher took me an hour a week all summer long to make me from the lowest rating class to the highest. And that was a long time ago when she didn't have to be paid to do that. And reading is the key to all education in my estimation. Are there any other announcements?
I was just gonna say that I found on the UW Eau Claire website, the public budget hearing is on Tuesday, April 11th. And it will be held from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the Ojibwe Ballroom of Davies Center.
2 to 5?
10 to 5.
10 to 5, all right.
Date again, April 11th.
April 11th.
10 to 5, Ojibwa.
In the Davies Center.
Okay. Davies Center. Thank you, Jolene. Pat, do you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Jim just finished his term as president of IFLS and was not able to, we couldn't put him back in as president for life. So we had to elect a new one, but they did, and then they made me secretary, Jim. I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, anyway.
Who's the new president?
I mean, congratulations.
And fortunately, I don't have to do any work in that position because the gal at IFLS does the minutes. So
Who's
it's a
that?
nice position.
Who's the new chairman or president or?
Jan, oh, wait a minute, who is it?
Sue
Sue Durkop from up north. Where is
Okay,
she?
that up north.
Centuria.
Okay, there you go. I was thinking maybe the Yukon or somewhere, but there we go. All right, thank you for that information, Pat. Any other announcements? Hearing none, I'd like to thank everybody that attended today, Zoom and in person. I think we've got a good group of people. Our next date for the meeting's been taken care of. So that means that we've concluded our business. I would pronounce us adjourned and thank you for showing up today.